Hello and welcome to Newsclick. Today we have with us Professor Aijaz Ahmed, and we are going to discuss the developments in Iraq and Syria, particularly the kind of attacks that are taking place now in and around Tikrit, with the Iranian army general leading the attack. It also appears that the United States is not involved in the attack at all. So Aijaz, what do you think is happening in this particular war?
Well, the US has decided not to participate in most of that fighting, and I think neither the US nor the Iranis want to appear or even substantively have or appear to have an alliance of any kind. So a common campaign is unlikely anyway. Iran has an independent interest of its own, strategic interest in stabilizing Iraq as well as Syria, the present state existing in the two countries. It also has an interest in defeating IS. Now, none of these, in fact, coincide with US strategic interests, as a matter of fact. The United States is very concerned about how much power IS has gathered, but it does not want to see IS defeated. It wants the Irani and the Iraqi government tied down. It does not want a stable government either in Iraq or in Syria. So in that sense, the strategic interests are actually quite different. At the same time, the US, because the US is concerned about how powerful IS is becoming, and particularly because it is now breathing down the neck of the Saudis. So Americans actually don't know what to do. They have contrary interests. Then there's, of course, the question of what the American objectives are in Syria, where IS is also very active.
When we look at what's happening in Syria, it's also very interesting. We have Jabhat al-Nusra, an al-Qaeda affiliate, now being regarded as a possible ally against Bashar al-Assad. Do you think this is also an interesting phenomenon that's taking place? The fact that you want to move against Bashar al-Assad and you consider al-Qaeda an ally?
Let us say by the end of 2011, the Assad government had defeated the rebellion which was actually internally grown. It is, until then, foreign participation in it was very low. It is since then that the Americans have thrown in, along with the Turks and the Saudis and so on, various kinds of jihadis of various tribes. And it's very unclear whose loyalties are what. These are jihadis who also travel from one outfit to another, partly on mercenary grounds, partly, various kinds of things are going on. Americans have already destroyed the Syrian society. They have not been able to destroy Syrian state. They want to destroy that state. Jabhat al-Nusra, they can have complete cooperation with Turkey and Jordan over Jabhat al-Nusra. Jabhat al-Nusra is the official outfit, or certainly was. We don't have any evidence that it has changed to ceased to be the official face of al-Qaeda. But what its relationship with the Muslim Brotherhood is, both Syrian and Turkish Muslim Brotherhood, is very unclear to us. Now, the problem is that when we think of Muslim Brotherhood, we think only of Egypt. There are very powerful Muslim Brotherhood outfits in Turkey, and there was a considerable Muslim Brotherhood which has decamped to Turkey from Syria. And the Syrian Muslim Brotherhood, when it could not take on the state, decamped to Turkey. So what the relationship is between Jabhat al-Nusra Al-Qaeda, Muslim Brotherhood, the Saudis who are dead set against IS and Al-Qaeda seem to be moving towards supporting Jabhat al-Nusra. It is a very strange game being played for one strategic purpose, that is to dismantle the Syrian regime. One last point in this. My fear is that there might be a strategic trap for Iran in this. It is already fighting IS in at least 2 countries and with Hezbollah in a certain sense, in Lebanon as well, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon. If you strengthen Jabhat al-Nusra as a good moderate jihadis, throw in all the weaponry for them to go and attack the Syrian regime. Iran is now fighting both IS and Jabhat al-Nusra. For how long? Is it a way of trapping Iran into a strategic quagmire in which it bleeds Iran? There's a very serious possibility of that, I believe.
Before we go into the larger issue of the geostrategic interests against Iran, there's also the issue of Qatar. Qatar is playing an intermediary role between Jabhat al-Nusra and the United States, and also the role of Israel, where they're actually supporting Jabhat al-Nusra in that border with air support and artillery support and helping it to strike against Hezbollah. Do you think all this also puts into question?
I think it's a very, very complex situation. Jabhat al-Nusra is something that is changing its colors all the time. Please also remember, one of the charges against Bashar al-Assad for quite some time by this American confected opposition has been that Hafiz al-Assad refuses to fight IS properly and is concentrating all its fire on Jabhat al-Nusra. All right? So the Syrians have known for a while that this is the force that all of these people are going to eventually back. Americans, Al-Qaeda, all of them fighting together just to get rid of Hafiz al-Assad? No, I think it is to trap Iran into a strategic offense.
And Aijaz, what you're really saying is that the geostrategic issue is the primary one, and whatever happens in the nuclear talks between Iran and the United States is not going to disturb the geostrategic matrix that is there in West Asia against the resistance front, which is really Iran, Hezbollah, Syria.
I would go a step further. It is very important for them that both IS and Jabhat al-Nusra remain a capable fighting force. Because you're absolutely right, these are the two forces, Iran and Hezbollah, that have upheld, that have supported the regime. But I think the amazing fact is that with everything that has happened in Syria, the Syrian army, the Syrian armed forces, they have not been able to break at all.
In fact, it's emerged stronger as a fighting force in the last 3 years.
Right, but that their determination to save the Syrian state as it exists is extraordinary. Under such circumstances, most fighting forces, you could, and they must have, that was their first calculation. That was the first thing that they wanted to do. Under most circumstances, an army would break up under pressures of this kind. And not only that, the first objective of the Turco-US alliance was to create fissures in the army, a small number of officers, one significant officer, nobody of any consequence went to their side. The rest of the armed forces have stood behind Bashar al-Assad.
So the Iran discussions on the nuclear issue should be dealing from the larger geostrategic issues.
I think so.
And it does not matter whether the Republicans and the Democrats or Obama and the Senate leadership agree or disagree. Whatever happens on the nuclear talks is not going to change this larger geostrategic matrix that is there at the moment in West Asia.
Yeah, that's what I believe. That's what I believe. Yeah.
So we have to see how it develops, but interesting developments in both Syria and Iraq, dangers for the resistance front in the longer sense, but also some threats to Saudi regime, which might make bring in certain changes in the West Asia.
And one thing that is very interesting and almost delicious is that objective circumstances have pushed Kurds into an alliance both with the Iraqi and the Syrian governments. For them, the threat is from Turkey. But they have sort of made friends, and with the Iranians. Syria, Iraq, Iran. At the moment, there is an objective alliance based on actual material interest.
Thank you very much, Aijaz. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and we'll continue to watch the developments in this region. Thanks once again.